What's that place called that people go to? It's hot, sometimes it's actually cold, sometimes water falls from above on top of you. Outside. Now, if you're like me, you don't venture out from your introvert lair without having decent Wi-Fi coverage, which is why today we're going to be taking a look at the TP-Link Omada Outdoor Wi-Fi 6 access point. Now, I've never used an outdoor access point. Honestly, just having decent coverage inside has been enough for me to use on my patio and whatnot, but I figured now's probably a good time to actually look at one of these and see if it's worth it to invest in an outdoor specific access point. So this model specifically is the EAP610. It is an AX1800 access point, meaning that you get 1200 megabits on the 5 gigahertz channel and 574 megabits on the 2.4 gigahertz channel. So not super blazing speeds, but it is Wi-Fi 6. So you do get the creature comforts that come with a modern access point, like MIMO, mesh technology, load balancing, just general stuff that comes with the Omada line. And seeing how it is compatible with the Omada line, that means that it'll integrate very nicely with your Omada setup. I have quite a few videos on Omada configurations. I will link one of them up here if you want to see how to walk through the initial configuration and getting an access point set up. But I did something a little different. More on that in a second. Some other things you get with this access point are an IP67 weatherproof enclosure, mesh technology that essentially comes with all Omada compatible access points. So if you do want to chain a bunch of them together, you can. I wouldn't recommend doing that a lot, but 2 or 3 is perfectly fine. And the access point itself is PoE Plus compatible, meaning that you only have to run a single cable for data and power, assuming that you have a PoE Plus compatible switch. So yeah, let's take a look at the actual system. And here it is. It is about 6 inches long. That's 6 inches, right guys? Right? Yeah, so the aesthetics of it aren't gonna inspire anything crazy, but it's not offensive. You get this white rectangle box, and at the bottom, you'll see a single input for your RJ45 cable. Now, if you are in a situation to where you don't have a PoE Plus compatible switch, they do include a PoE injector so that you can plug this into any regular power outlet and then run a dedicated data cable and then the PoE cable from here directly to the access point. So TP-Link has your back on this one, no worries. Also, to mount it, it is a pretty simple mounting configuration. This will screw onto the wall with 2 screws, and then you simply just slide this in onto the bracket like so. Voila, clips in place. Bada bing, bada boom, it's hanging on your wall. Now, a big thing with outdoor access points is they obviously have to be weatherproof because yeah, the elements ain't so friendly sometimes. So with this one, you'll see when you're running your RJ45 cable, you do so with these 3 included pieces. So you have one that's going to screw directly into the access point itself. Then you have this little rubber piece for weatherproofing, and then another little collar that keeps everything nice and snug. So essentially, you'll just plug it in, voila, screw the first piece in, run your little rubber nugget up in there, and then lock it all into place like so. And just like that, you have a weatherproof access point. So I'm actually gonna bring this outside and see what kind of range benefits we get with this over a regular setup indoors. And like I mentioned before, you can configure this using the Omada setup, but I've actually gone and configured it using the default web GUI, meaning that you can set this up and configure it and get all the features out of it without having to be part of the Omada ecosystem. So just plug it in, find the IP it has been assigned, go to that using any web browser, and you can walk through the installation process, and it's super, super easy. All right, let's go outside. And now for a fancy transition. Editor Brett, do your thing. Did you do it? All right, how was that? I'm sure Editor Brett put a ton of work into that transition, so let him know down in the comments how good of a job he did. But yeah, as you can tell, I am outside. I've installed the access point on the wall about 6 feet up off the ground. It's actually underneath the overhang, so it shouldn't really receive that much weather, but that's a temporary location. I haven't decided where it's going to go permanently, but that's where it is for this test. So let's do a little speed test. I'm like 10 feet away from the access point, so we should get an optimal reading here. And yeah, 650 megabits per second down and what, 150 up or something. Yeah, pretty solid numbers. If we go over here to signal, we're looking at around 7 millisecond ping. So what we're actually gonna do is there's like an easement behind me over here, and we're gonna walk as far down as possible and see what kind of signal we can still get from this outdoor access point. And I'm assuming it's gonna be a lot further than what I can get from my indoor access points. All right, let's try not to go get mugged by a 13-year-old on a dirt bike. Okay, so this is my house right here. So I'm assuming if I start a speed test, we're gonna get relatively the same numbers. And I am wrong, shocking. So it is going through a fence and I am somewhat lower, but okay, without moving, let's try again. Probably about, what, 30 yards away, and it is going through trees and a fence. So we are seeing a drop off in speed, but I'm not so much worried about speed. 150 megabits down is perfectly fine. Let's actually keep walking. So I'm probably gonna have to turn the camera around. So let's keep going. And while I'm doing this, I'll probably have some type of drone shot right now showing you exactly what the perspective is to my house and the access point. But let's do another, what, 20 yards. Now we have a telephone pole, multiple trees, a fence, still getting 150, which is pretty impressive. I'm gonna keep going. Upload is tanking. Okay, we are a pretty good distance away at this point. Let's see what our signal is looking like. 10 millisecond ping, 11, 15. Okay, now we're starting to see some drop off. Try again, speed test. Okay. This is a significant drop off. We're looking at 20 down. I am so far away though, holy crap. So right here is where about I'd put it on the 5 gigahertz channel. Let's switch over to the 2.4. Okay, let's start preparing. That is not a good sign. 240, okay. For some reason we got better coverage on the 5 gigahertz channel, which is strange. Yeah, we're not even picking up a signal. All right, so that's about the distance we are getting on the outdoor access point. Let's go ahead and switch to my regular Unify indoor network and see if we can even pull anything close to that. Okay, I can't even join from here. Oh my gosh, I'm like right next to the house, come on. Dude, I'm literally right here and we're only getting 14 from my indoor network. We were getting 150 way the hell down there. So I'm not gonna go into like decibels and signal levels. This is more of a real world test, what speed you can expect to see, distances from the house with trees and whatnot in the way. But obviously I figured it would make a difference, but that is a massive difference. Okay, let's head back to the house. Okay, so thoughts on the TP-Link Wi-Fi 6 outdoor access point. Honestly, it works really well. I mean, I've had decent coverage outside, but with this thing, that is next level. I could probably make friends with my neighbors with this kind of signal. So honestly, it'll probably stay there. And as of right now, the time I'm making this video, you can get it on Amazon for $130. Link down in the description below if you want to pick one up. It'll integrate pretty nicely into your Omada setup, or if you don't have Omada, it will work as a standalone access point, no problem, which is how I have it configured right now. The key things, $130. Wi-Fi 6, PoE Plus enabled, IP67 weatherproofing, meaning that it can get rained on and you shouldn't have any problems with it. So stick it on a pole in the back of your yard and mesh a couple of them together to give yourself a stupid amount of Wi-Fi coverage. I don't know, but overall I'd say it's a pretty awesome device. But that is all I have for you today. If you like this video, drop a like below. If you like content like this, then please consider subscribing if you want to see more or just look at my face. That would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, if you're still hanging around watching, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.